Okay, so I think that's pretty good. So the first step is don't panic. Now again, if this is the first time you've scrambled this, or you just bought this puzzle and you scrambled it because I told you to, again, don't panic. We'll get you back there. So here's the first step. It looks pretty chaotic, right? What you're going to want to do is some of these edges look like this, where you have two large ones opposite each other, two small ones opposite each other. That's the correct configuration. Some of them look like this, where the two large ones are next to each other and the two small ones are next to each other. But the first step is we're going to try to get this back into a square form. So we're going to see if we can get as much flat-like sides as possible. And it just means finding things that can move. And there's no specific way of doing this. You're just going to have to play around with it. But if I move this over to here, that kind of flattens this out. This center here is skewed. So it's very apparent that this is not in the same edge position as this. So this is a skewed move. So I'm going to try to find a way to do a skewed move. You can see that these move fine over here. So if I can do a skewed move, I can maybe get some of these centers back. Like this guy doesn't really want to move, because some of them might be caught into a central move here. Okay. So if I move this here, well, all right, so there's no doubt about it. Okay, this is fine over here. This is sort of at an angulated shape, so I think I did a pretty good job scrambling this. Well, what I think I'll do is when I see centers that look like this, is I'm going to try to line them up as much as I can, because that's probably where my skew move is. This doesn't want to move, so I'm going to move this to here. I can see this now fits flush. So now this can move. So these are all these skewed edges are lined up. Once I've lined it up, I can do one half turn like this. Okay, once I've done that, this is probably closer to being in a cube form. So this, and this, although this is sort of oblong. Now I want to move this edge here, but something's blocking it. Maybe it's something here. Yeah, maybe it's this. So now can it move? No. Maybe something here is blocking it. Oh, no, actually it could move. Okay, so you can see this looks kind of flat over there. So I'm going to try to retain as much of a cube shape as possible. Okay, so this can move here. So this is flat here. Now I can move this in. So you can see it looks a lot less chaotic. And because I did a half skewed move, I know that it should be in the right position. This wants to move, but something's blocking it. Perhaps this. No, it's not that. Maybe it's this. Aha! This. Okay. So I'm just demonstrating it, but I can't really completely 100% guide. You just have to play around with it. Boy, this looks scary. What is going on here? Okay. So now that I have it somewhat in a cube shape, I need to get all of these edges to look like this edge. So how am I going to do that? Well, it just has to do with a trick. You know, people think that solving Rubik's Cubes means you have to be smart. It's got to be intelligence. It's not intelligence so much. I mean, there is that, but it's more just a trick. Once you know the trick, then you can do it. It's like a magic trick. And some people with very good hand-eye coordination can do speed cubes with it. But again, it's not so much intelligence, it's just learning the trick. What you're going to want to do to get this correct is I'm going to try to get those that are not in next to each other. This is all the way over here. And the way that this is going to work is if I were to do a skew move, I'm going to line it up. I'm going to put it in the same plane as this. So these two, it'll be better if it's next to each other, but if it's not, that's okay. What you're going to do is see how this is facing one way where I've got two small ones and two large ones. This here has two small ones, two large ones, and they're facing the right way. This would be facing opposite. Two small ones right facing me, two large ones facing me. Put it to where it's two large ones and two small ones facing the same direction, and get it in a skew position. A skew position means just make sure that things are lined up, and you should be able to do that. So for instance, it has to be aligned through all of here. Okay, so there that is here. And here's what you're going to do. Basically, you're going to take whatever center you have, move it into the other center here, turn it 180 degrees and bring it back down. So this is 2 away from it, so I'm going to go 1, 2. So now it's there, I think. Let's be sure here. Yeah, so 1, 2. Then I'm going to turn this edge 180 degrees, 1, 2. Then I'm going to bring it back, 1, 2. So you're going to find that solves this, and that's all you're going to need to do. So that's how you get that in. Boom. I'm going to look around and see if there's any other edges that are facing wrong, and they're not. So let me just demonstrate that again, in case that didn't quite mesh. Let's say I have a situation. I'm going to put it out the same way I got it in, like this. So you see everything is in, but this edge is wrong and this edge is wrong. They're next to each other just for clarification. And maybe this is facing like that. Basically, face them the same direction. It doesn't matter how many you have, just pick 2. You'll always have 2. Face them the same direction. Move this up into it by 1/2 skewb turn. Or if it's over here, then however many turns you need to do to put it in there. So move it up, whoop, up, then do a 180 degree turn and bring it down. And 100% of the time it will get all these back. Okay, so you can see we've made a little bit more short work of it. Now don't move on until that makes sense. And if you're scrambling this with me, go ahead and do that. Now the next step is we have to get all of these ears facing the correct way. What I mean by that is you have to have a thick one next to a thin one. So this is a thick one, this is a thin one. That's what all of these are, except here you're going to see every so often 2 thin ones together. And every time you see 2 thin ones, there's going to be some place where you have 2 thick ones together, right here. Thick one, thick one. So what you want to do is you want to get it to where it's the thin on the thick. So that's the next step. Here's how you're going to do that. Get the 2 thick ones and the 2 thin ones next to each other. So I got to get a thick one over here. Well, so here's an example. Here are 2 thin ones and 2 thick ones. So this can move really well. It can move wherever you want it to, despite the fact that these are bumping into each other. But get them next to each other. So what we're going to do is we're going to do basically we're going to do a variation of that double jumble maneuver. But once you have them next to each other, you're going to take this and move it 180 degrees down like so. Okay, once you've done that, hold it here in a skew position so that you're right here, cutting right through the 2 thick ones. Then move this up by 1/2 skewb turn. Move it up by 1/2 skewb turn. What you're then going to do is you're going to move this edge, and you're going to move it until it's not 180 degrees, but where this center is up facing this next edge. So this is going to end up flat over here, but this center here is going to be up right next to, right across from this edge, which is going to be lined up with the edge where you put the 2 thin ones here. Then you're going to do a 180 degree turn like this. Boom. The end result of that is the 2 thin ones are going to be just below the 2 thick ones on this edge. You then move this back down to where it was before. And now you simply skewb it, do your 1/2 skewb back down like this. Boom. What that's going to do is it's going to place those over here. You may think, oh no, I created another one here. Don't worry about that. Just keep doing what you're doing. So let's try this again. Here's 2 thin ones and here's 2 thick ones. We have to move them next to each other. So I'm just going to find what orbits they belong in. Okay, so these 2 are next to each other. So same thing, take the thin ones, the 2 thin ones, now that they're next to each other, do a 180 degree turn, so you're popping that over here. Hold it here in skew position. Now understand how to spot these 2 thick ones together. This is a thick and a thin, so that's not it. We're now going to do a 1/2 skewb turn up like so. And now we're going to turn it until this edge that I created is going to be flush up against here. So we're going to come up like this. It's not a full 180 degrees, but it's going to be right up here. You can see that this edge is flat over to here, and this is sort of facing right up against this edge over here. Then I'm going to go 1, 2, bring this back down to here, and now we move this back down like so. Boom. Okay, so now this is in. So just keep doing that. Here's another example of two thick ones. So there's always got to be two thin ones. Always got to be, 100% of the time. Let's find it right over here. And now we're going to move them next to each other. So keep finding whatever orbits will work best. Okay, if they're not in the same orbit, you can eventually move them next to each other. So I'm just searching to see where that is. Okay, and eventually you will find it. So there it is next to each other. So basically take this 180 degrees, like that. Hold it in skewb position. Half skewb this up. And now you guessed it, we're going to take this newly created skewb edge here and turn it a half click to here. This is now fitting flush. And this is sort of facing this new edge, this edge pair, edge pair here. This is facing this new edge to turn 180 degrees, which now puts this two thin ones in line with this. Move it back down, and then move this back down. Boom. Okay, eventually you're going to keep creating the proper ones, and we may be done. Are we done? I think we are done. Now you may have any number of those, just keep doing that. Keep doing that technique and you'll eventually get it in this position. So now what you've done is you've got all the edges oriented once again in the proper shape, and you've got all the edges. They may be ears, but that's all fine. We don't care about the ear formation. We just don't want two thick ones and two thin ones together. Okay, so hopefully that made sense, but that's really all that is. Put it next to each other, 180 degrees, half skewb it up, move it in, turn, move it back, and half skewb it back down, and it will work. So now the next step is simply taking the jumbling out, taking these ears out. Now, hopefully you've done enough of these to where you can navigate your way through this part, but just in case not, here are the configurations that you're looking for. You're looking for two ears that are opposite each other. That's what's going to make sense. So if I move this over here, if you can visualize this, this is an ear formation. Ignore this. This is a corner in a center position, and this is an ear formation. See how they're all sort of facing opposite each other like that? If you have that configuration, it becomes easy, because what you do is you take one, do a 180 degree turn, like so. And then you're going to take this and you're going to move it until this is flat here. So you're just going to do a jumble move. So it's not a whole 180 degree turn, it just comes up to here. Then you're going to take this and do a 180 degree turn to match it to here, and then move it down. So in that way, you actually took it out. So let's see if there's any more that's like that. See these two here? Maybe we can create two ears that are opposite. Actually, we have two ears that are opposite here. So let's do that again. 180 degrees here. Move this into a jumbled move so that it's flat over here, right over there. Take this, turn it around 180 degrees, and then you can bring it down. So that took that out. Now you can see we're slowly getting rid of our ears. Okay. Here's a one that's flat over there. Maybe I can use this one too. Maybe any one of these can work. Looks like we've got a couple. It's not going to be this one. Could it be this one? Now there's some other configurations that you can look at. Now when you see this, it's not going to work because they're in the same orbit. They've got to be in different orbits. Turn this around. Now here's another configuration where the ear is facing out and up. Okay. So if that's the case, then if I move this up like so, I can then exchange it with this guy. So if I have one that's facing like out, or one that's facing up and out, then you can navigate this by putting this into a half turn jumble position, move this 180 degrees in its place, and then move this down. So that so there you have that. So you keep doing that. You're always finding pairs of ears, but you may find, and this may happen more often than not, you have an ear formation, but you have just one. You have just one. These aren't ears, but this is. Now the only way that this can work is if I have two but I only have one. So how am I going to deal with this? How am I going to get out of this situation? This happened when I was doing my skewb move. So a skewb move got me into this mess. A skewb move will get me out of this mess. So here's how this is going to work, and it's really simple. You now know the trick of getting these edges in. You know the trick of getting the proper formation here. you do your normal unjumbling, but when you get this situation, so the way that you get out of this is really super easy. All you have to do is one full skewb move. Because when you do that, and it doesn't matter where you do it, you're going to get 2 large ones and 2 small ones. And so now we can kind of reset what we did, and we do the same technique. So if you have one ear formation, do a full skewb move, and now we take this and we have to get them next to each other. Now they're going to be in the same orbit, so I have to get it in a different orbit. I got to get it, say, over to here or to here. Doesn't really matter. So to get it to those places, I just have to switch its orbit. So I'm going to do a single jumble maneuver to do that. I'm going to switch this orbit with this. So this goes up, this goes down, double turn, and this might happen at another time earlier in the solve. Once I do that, and they're in different orbits, then it's just a matter of moving it to a place where they can be next to each other. So get this out of the way, move this out of the way, move this here and here. Oh, okay. So they're right here next to each other. So I took that one ear, and with one skewb move, I created these 2, and now it becomes easy. Do a 180-degree turn over here, hold it over here, do a half skewb move up, like we showed, and then move this until this edge piece is lined up with this entire edge. So we're going to move this up like, oh, let's see, you can move. Like this, so this is fitting flush. This is facing this edge. Then go 180-degree turn over here. Boom. So you can see small edges are opposite the large edge. A thin opposite thick. Move this back down, and then we simply half skewb it back down like so. Boom. Okay, so now this is in and this is in, and that will fix that problem. So the dilemma of the one ear is solved just like that. Do one whole skewb move. It'll create 2 thicks and 2 thins together, and then you just do that technique in order to get that out. Okay, so now you have it in this position, and now what you're going to want to do is solve the mix-up parts of it. So we're going to want to exchange corners for centers here. The way this is going to work is have a corner piece that's in center position next to a center piece in a corner position. We're going to move this down to corner position, move this 180 degrees, and just orchestrate an exchange between these 2. So it's a similar way that you exchange these guys. 180-degree turn. This will then move back up to here, 180 degrees, and this will simply move down. So you've basically exchanged that. And you keep doing that with all the rest. So I'm going to move this here so that these 2 are opposite. Move this in corner position, 180 degrees. Exchange these 2, 180 degrees. Move this back up 180 degrees and move this back. So let's do more. This wants to exchange with this. So in corner position, 180 degrees, 180 degrees, which brings that over here, 180 degrees back, and bring it back up. So you can see we're getting more and more. Okay. So we're going to hold this here. I want to move this here, so I just need to move it opposite. So corner position here, 180 degrees, orchestrate an exchange of these 2, splat, 180 degrees here, move it back. Alright, now what else can we use? Alright, so it should be super simple to set up. Alright, and it's the smooth movement of this that is the saving grace of this puzzle. Anything less, it just wouldn't be worth it. Boom. Okay, so now orchestrate exchange between these 2. This will come here, 180-degree turn, easily and smoothly move this in. This turns here and this turns here, and that's it. So all of the mix-ups have been taken out, and you can see what you have is you pretty much have the structure of a Skewby Copter Plus. What the next step that we're going to be doing is see how these are rotated wrong. We've got to rotate these correctly. That part is also super easy, barely an inconvenience. Basically what you're going to do is you're going to take this that you want to rotate around, you're going to put this into corner position, and just like with the corners, to turn it around is you move this all the way around until it's rotated. I'm going to put this in corner position here, Then rotate it 180 degrees like so. What I'm now going to do is take this and I'm just going to move this back. I'm going to have to put it back down when I'm done. We're just going to move this back. I'm going to take what I put down here and move it so that it's fully in corner position over here. Then we're going to go all the way around until it comes back to here in corner position. So move it here, here. Notice there's no blockage here, here. So I'm doing it all the way around this side here, moving it back here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it back to this ear over here. As you can see, it's not in yet. If it's not in yet, I'm going to put it back here, then move it all the way around the side again. So turn, 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 turn. Once I get it back here, move it in, and you can see it's now lined up. Remember, we had to turn this down, so I'm going to turn it back. Move this 180 degrees, move this back in. So you can see this is now in. And I do that with each and every one of these, and it's that simple. So we move this down into corner position, move this 180 degrees, let's just pop this back. Now that this is in corner position, let's move it all the way to the side here, and go all the way around the back side here. Once you've done that, move it back into this position. You see it's fine. This moves back down so that this corner is lined up. 180 degree turn, bring it back. So keep doing that. We'll do it one more time just to show it. Corner position, 180 degree turn. This is moved back up. Now that this is in corner position, bump it out of the way, bring it all the way around this side. So we've got turn, 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 and turn. Now that you've done that, bring it back to this position here. It's not in yet, so we do it again. It's like an edge turning way of doing R-I-D-I-R-D. Move it in. Now that that's moved in, bring this down, turn it around, bring it up. Okay? And you keep doing that until all of these are in, and it's really just a matter of that. Okay, so finishing up, we've got this over here. Move this in here, turn, turn, turn. Go all the way around as we're slowly taming this. So that's in, bring it up, around, and up. And I think we have one more, and that's this guy over here. So let's bring him down, 180 degrees, put this back up, put this to the side, and go all the way around. So that's going to be turn, 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 turn. Bring this across here. And now we finally have a complete flattened puzzle. So now that that's been done, we get to the real nitty-gritty of the actual solve. So all of the rest has been just getting this back into the cube shape. So we're actually now ready to do the solve portion of it.